So Britney Spears has finally released the memoir she said she was going to write after her conservatorship was over. And I don't think anyone was ready for the type of buzz this book got. I mean, I think we all knew on some level if Britney wrote it, we'd all read it. But the way everyone is still talking about it is next level. Just before The Woman in Me was released, she made the revelation that she'd gotten pregnant by Justin Timberlake back in the early 2000s, and he made her get an abortion. But there are all sorts of other things she wrote about in this book, and a lot of them are just as interesting, if not more. So did Britney Spears go on a trip to the desert and meet an alien? Britney Spears is spilling the tea on everyone she's come into contact with and anybody that's done her dirty over the years. A lot of us who live on Petty Lane have been absolutely living for it because Britney has been through so much over the years, and especially her family have done so much to her. Tuesday, she posted on Instagram, "It's happening. My book is the highest selling celebrity memoir in history, and it's only day one. Thank you to the fans who've been so supportive. Love you all." But there are a number of things that she discusses in her book that no one could have really predicted. First up is her close encounter of the third kind. Britney says that she and a friend took a drive in the desert in Arizona to sort of blow off some steam after the abortion and her awful breakup with Justin and all that. And it was then that she had a paranormal experience. She writes, "As we looked out at the road stretched before us, an eerie feeling settled over me. I'd been moving so fast for so long, it was like I couldn't even catch my breath. Now in this moment, something filled me, a profound beauty, otherworldly and humbling. I looked over at my friend, wondering if I should say something, but what could I say? Do you believe in aliens?" So I stayed quiet and sat there with the feeling for a long moment. Then I heard her voice over the wind. "Do you feel that?" she said. She looked at me. "What is that?" Whatever it was, she felt it too. I reached for her hand and held it tight. The poet Rumi says the wound is the place where the light enters you. I've always believed that. The thing we felt that night in Arizona, we felt it at that moment because we needed it. We were so spiritually open and so raw. It showed us there was more than just what we could see. Call it God, call it a higher power, or call it a paranormal experience. Now that's pretty different from many of the alien encounters that other people have recounted. She wasn't afraid, she wasn't hurt, she didn't get beamed up or any of that. It actually sounds like she felt like it was an enlightening experience, so that's different, but it's not too different. One commenter wrote, "She pulled a Kesha." Kesha is also described being mystified by something she couldn't explain.
Experience with UFO when I was in Joshua Tree and I was camping, and we were just like sitting on a rock, and all of a sudden there were fireballs in the sky. And for the longest time, my boyfriend and I were just sitting there and we were just looking at them, and like we were trying to figure out like all these like really rational reasons.
So at least you had a witness.
No,
right?
and he's very rational.
Maybe the aliens are just hitting up excellent female pop singers? I don't know, but it's a cool coincidence. She also spoke pretty candidly about the difference between NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. His band, NSYNC, was what people back then called so pimp. They were white boys, but they loved hip-hop. To me, that's what separated them from the Backstreet Boys, who seemed to very consciously position themselves as a white group. NSYNC hung out with black artists. Now, I'm pretty sure the Backstreet Boys wouldn't agree with that assessment, but it's interesting that Spears saw it that way. And she went on to emphasize this by recalling a time that Justin met Genuine and got excited and shouted. Jay got all excited and said so loud, "Oh yeah, for shiz. Genuine, what's up, homie?" It's the absolute cringe for me, but of course, what on earth could we expect from a guy who wears a denim cowboy hat as a fashion statement, huh? Anyway, she also exposed Justin for cheating on her all over the place. According to Britney, it wasn't just once, it was multiple times. One of the people she said he cheated on her with was Nicole Appleton from the girl group All Saints. Spears also said that one of her dancers told her that Justin had made a gesture towards someone and said, "Yeah man, I hit that last night." In her book, she said, "I don't want to say who he was talking about because she's actually very popular and she's married with kids now. I don't want her to feel bad. My friend was shocked and believed Justin was only saying it because he was high and felt like bragging. There were rumors about him with various dancers and groupies. I let it all go, but clearly he'd slept around. It was one of those things where you know, but you just don't say anything." I personally couldn't have kept quiet at that point, and I definitely would have said something, but to each his own. She also completely admits that she sort of cheated on him with Wade Robson. We were out one night and we went to a Spanish bar. We danced and danced. I made out with him that night. I was loyal to Justin for years, only had eyes for him with that one exception, which I admitted to him. That night was chalked up to something that will happen when you're as young as we were, and Justin and I moved past it and stayed together. I thought we were going to be together forever. I hope we would be. She wrote about their breakup and said that she feels she should have seen it coming, but didn't. When Justin began making his first solo album, justified, he started being very standoffish with me. I think that was because he decided to use me as ammunition for his record, and so it made it awkward for him to be around me, staring at him with all that affection and devotion. She said he broke up with her through text message, and she received it while she was on the set recording the video for the Overprotected remix with Darkchild. She also says that it completely devastated her and that she didn't even want to speak to anyone for months, and that if someone brought him up, she cried, and that it felt like being in clinical shock. She went back home to Louisiana and still wasn't herself around family and friends. Justin flew out to Louisiana to visit me. He brought me a long letter he'd written and framed. I still have it under my bed, and at the end it said, "It makes me cry to think about it. I can't breathe without you." Those are the last words in it. She talked about him dissing her in Crimea River too. She said that in his video there's a woman that looks like her that cheated on him and then walks around all sad through the rain. In the news media, I was described as the harlot who'd broken the heart of America's golden boy. The truth, I was comatose in Louisiana, and he was happily running around Hollywood. And if you thought that was her mic drop moment, hang on to your hats because she completely read him the riot act after that. May I just say that on his explosive album and in all the press that surrounded it, Justin neglected to mention the several times he cheated on me. Damn, that honestly should have been said a long time ago. It's like now that the conservatorship is over, she took the gloves off and she's not afraid to say what she thinks anymore, and I'm here for it. She wrote about the end of her conservatorship too, and surprise, surprise, she felt relieved when it was over. I felt relief sweep over me. The man who had scared me as a child and ruled over me as an adult, who had done more than anyone to undermine my self-confidence, was no longer in control of my life. But what no one has really talked about until she released her book is the lasting effect that the conservatorship has had on her. Migraines are just one part of the physical and emotional damage I have now that I'm out of the conservatorship. I don't think my family understands the real damage that they did. It's sad that she's gone through so much and that it seems to have left her with lifelong physical issues. But moving on to another interesting reveal, she said her hair isn't actually blonde. She said, "I'm not offended by all the dumb blonde jokes because I know I'm not dumb. And I also know that I'm not blonde. My real hair color is black." While that absolutely shocked a lot of fans, some say it makes sense because even when she's blonde, she has dark roots. And you may be wondering what Brit said about her recent divorce from ex-husband Sam Asghari. You might remember that Spears made the announcement that she was pregnant with Asghari's baby back in April 2022, and then followed that announcement up with a joint announcement with Sam that they lost the baby about a month later. It read, "It is with deepest sadness that we have to announce that we have lost our miracle baby early in the pregnancy. This is a devastating time for any parent. Perhaps we should have waited to announce until we were further along. However, we were overly excited to share the good news." She wrote that she was really excited about the prospect of having a baby with Sam, but also afraid because of her previous experience with postpartum depression. She also said that following her miscarriage, she threw herself into singing and dancing because it gave her a new way to escape. Her marriage to Asghari was short-lived, only lasting 14 months, but she didn't really write about their breakup and divorce. But Sam apparently doesn't take that as a slight. When TMZ asked him about her book, he was nothing but supportive. She put a lot of work into it, and it was very hard. I'm definitely excited, and I'm extremely proud of her. It was a very tough one to write. But considering he was just threatening to blackmail her if she didn't pay him alimony not long ago, it's pretty likely that maybe, just maybe, he's being supportive in a bid to stay relevant. That's just my take anyway. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. Do you ever think you'd hear a Britney Spears alien story? What do you think about the revelation that Justin cheated first and way more often? Do you think Britney's as bad if she only kissed someone, if Justin was full-on hooking up with people? And what do you think about her having naturally black hair? Tell us your favorite reveal if you've read the book, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more great videos.